Well, 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 the new Masters of the Universe trailer is out, and it has seemingly broken the fan base into two. Some people love it and think it's awesome. Some people are saying, God damn man, they've made He-Man and Masters of the Universe woke. What the hell is this? The questionable CGI, the questionable casting choices. Yeah, there are some questionable casting choices in here for sure. But I believe everyone's focusing on the wrong things. I actually think there's a lot of cool stuff in this trailer. I think this movie has a lot of potential. Unfortunately, when I'm watching the trailer, there are some things that just make my eyes roll to the back of my head, and it's not what the fans keep debating about seemingly on Twitter and Instagram and all this stuff. I've never been the biggest fan of He-Man. I watched it. My parents were fans of He-Man and Thundercats, okay? Of course, I'm familiar with this. I'm a huge fan of Skeletor. I think he's one of the villains that's aged the best. He's such a funny, whether unintentionally or not, he's one of the funniest villains of all time, and no one can take that away from him, okay? I even like Dolph Lundgren's freaking He-Man film. As cheesy as it was, I fucking loved it at the time. And I think King Arthur Legend of the Sword with Charlie Hunnam is a very good He-Man movie. If you know, you know. If you've seen this, this is a fucking He-Man movie. It is! I've always thought that He-Man could have made a very good cinematic universe. I have always dreamt of the MCU and the DCU when they were trying to do their stuff. I was like, man, this could be a really good cinematic universe. All the old people can come in and watch it, and some new people would see this as, oh shit, this looks cool. But now we have the Masters of the Universe 2026 trailer. I'm gonna break this down. Right away, it's established that this He-Man was raised on Earth. I mean, he was a child on Eternia, but then he was raised on Earth. He was taken there to be saved from the invasion, I guess, of Skeletor's armies or whatnot. And he was there on Earth. Now he's there living a normal life, working a fucking corporate job. I don't like this. Because whenever films do this type of shit, it's very run-of-the-mill. We know that we want to reach casual audiences, so we need to introduce them to something that's familiar like Earth, and we don't have to make the whole story on Eternia. In my opinion, I just would have preferred if He-Man was on Eternia the entire time, personally. I don't care to see him on Earth and then, there's a call to action where he's forced to go to Eternia and discover his heritage and his memories and all this shit. Like, this is the most run-of-the-mill mediocre plot I've ever seen in my life. Okay, now a lot of people are hyper-focusing on this. A lot of people are like, he, him, god damn, man, why are we focusing on pronouns? Is this guy gay? Why is it woke? Fuck this stuff. I want to make something very clear here, right? First of all, if you're adapting an actual human world, there are corporate offices that literally have this. Okay, so that's a matter of fact, whether you like it or not. But also, I'm pretty sure the reason they focus in on this, and a lot of fans are bringing this up, is because this is kind of a play on the freaking name of the character, the title of the character, He-Man. Now, whether the joke worked for you or not, in terms of it being funny, is a different matter. But I don't think this is like a woke thing. And I don't think woke is the problem with this movie when I'm watching this trailer, by the way. If you think that, if your mind just goes to that, then I don't know what to say to you. But that's not the problem I have when I'm watching this. There's some other issues that pop up. I think, as a result of the people who look at He-Man and say, okay, we need to adopt this for modern audiences, Gen Z, all these people who aren't familiar. So we need to bring him to Earth. We just need to have an Earth story that goes to another planet, you know? That tends to run well. I just don't like that. I don't think you need it. You know why? It reminds me of, like, you know, Man of Steel, where you have the opening in Krypton, and then they send Clark home. Like, this is kind of like that, except now we're seeing a whole scene where he's in corporate trying to find his memories. It's like Matrix Resurrections. You know, in Neo, it's like the Matrix, except worse. It's the same thing. He's in corporate office, and then suddenly there are, like, signals that come up saying, oh shit, there's links to finding the truth, like your true memories. You are someone else. You are not who you really are, right? Like, I know what they're trying to do, and I don't think it's necessary. We've seen movies like Dune, Lord of the Rings, where the world is just in the world. You don't need to show, oh, well, you're in Earth, we're surrounded by humans, the corporate culture, all this stuff. Oh, it's everything you know, and then, oh shit, it's a call to adventure. You have to go to the other planet. We don't need to do that. But fine, whatever. Then we get shots of him actually meeting characters from that world. Camila Mendes, who looks fine as fuck, by the way. If I'm watching this for anything, I'm watching it for her. Damn, she looks so good. The moment I saw her cast, I was like, yeah, it's done. I'm in. And then we have him and the crew coming down to Eternia. People are comparing this to Guardians of the Galaxy. I actually think this looks more like Thor Ragnarok, personally. Like, literally exactly the same. And I think Thor Ragnarok itself is like a He-Man movie, kind of. Then we get a couple cool shots of CGI ships battling it out. We get Idris Elba. A lot of people hate the fact that he's playing the character he is because it's a race swap. They're like, why is he in this? I don't think adding Idris Elba to a movie is ever bad, because it's Idris Elba. But whatever. If fans want to nitpick that, that's fine. Camila Mendes is fighting Evil Lynn, played by Alison Brie. Yet again, another reason for me to watch this fucking movie. I'm just saying. We get shots of He-Man's CGI Battle Cat, which look kind of questionable. There's a lot of CGI in this, to be fair, that looks questionable. We get some cool, again, Thor Ragnarok-esque shots, slow motion shots of people jumping up to fight stuff. We get He-Man turning into He-Man. I have the power. This shot looks great. Everything with He-Man in it actually looks great when we see that stuff in the movie. Skeletor looks pretty good too. Every shot of Skeletor in this looks pretty good too. Unfortunately, he's played by Jared Leto. I don't know why Hollywood doesn't get the point that the public does not like Jared Leto that much anymore. Every single comment you see on any post of He-Man with Skeletor in it says, why Jared Leto though? He's not the draw you think he is, Hollywood. Stop. He's also a weirdo. And then we see visuals of the final fight between him and He-Man, which, again, to be fair, look pretty fucking awesome. They're filmed in a way that's indicative of how a live-action He-Man movie should be filmed. It looks pretty cool, man. I'm gonna give them to them. The stuff at the end, when the special effects look good, and you see Skeletor and He-Man going at it, looks good. I think mostly the movie looks fine. But that's my biggest problem. You have half the fans saying it looks amazing, half the fans saying it looks like trash. I don't mean to be one of these guys who sits on the fence and doesn't take risks with my opinion, but it mostly just looks fine. And I think that's kind of the problem for me. When I'm seeing this trailer, it looks kind of like a run-of-the-mill superhero movie that you would get anyways. There's nothing special about it that sticks out. And there's something about the way these movies look now. When everything's CGI, relying on green screens, all that, it looks artificial. The lighting, everything about it looks fake. There's nothing authentic or real about it. It looks like a generic sci-fi action movie. This should be a sci-fi fantasy movie that has proper sets. I'm not saying the whole world needs to be set. Obviously, this is not taking place on Earth, right? But you could make sets. You can put in the effort. This is hundreds of millions of dollars are being poured into this. You don't need to be overly reliant. Lord of the Rings still looks fucking good for a reason, right? I think for fantasy movies, you should rely less on constant green screen. Unless you're Avatar. Unless you're James Cameron's Avatar, where everything looks way more real than the most real movie you can think of. It just looks artificial and fake. It doesn't look good to me. It doesn't look good to me. It actually looks disgusting, to be honest. It looks like a freaking candy shop. It looks like this. It looks like a fucking Marvel movie, man. I don't like the look of the film. I'm sorry to be nitpicking about this so much, but I don't feel like it's a nitpick. I think it's a pretty valid thing when movies rely so much on green screen and CGI that they look fake.
And just as a matter of proof of this, the best looking shots of the trailer are when they're clearly in physical set locations and there isn't constant green screen and CGI all around them.
And the other thing is, again, everything about the movies on a story and aesthetic level looks run-of-the-mill. I can predict the entire plot to you right now. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to do it. Here it goes. The opening scene shows Kid He-Man being sent to Earth because he's the heir to the throne and there are invaders who want to usurp the throne. And then we just flash to him, in his current day, working his corporate job, him remembering stuff, finding signals, finding the sword or something that lights a spark, and then creatures from Eternia, enemies, find him on Earth and try to attack him. That's the call to action. He almost gets killed, but then Camila Mendes, fine-ass Camila Mendes, comes to save the day, and then they go to Eternia together. You know, this is the same setup you've seen a million times before. Spoiler alert, if you care. He meets his mother there on Eternia. He's forced to train and find himself while people doubt him, even though he's the king. He's the rightful king, heir to the throne. Then, at some point, he leads a rebellion and war against the invading dark forces of Skeletor. He's ready to pick up the sword at the end of the movie. Probably the final fact is when you actually see He-Man become He-Man. I have the power! Then has a final fight with Skeletor. Skeletor nearly dies but survives so they can set up a sequel. That's exactly what's going to happen. Yes or no? Beat for beat. Oh, and him and Camila Mendes will probably make out at the end. Lucky man. I envy him. Bastard. But yeah. It looks a bit run-of-the-mill in that regard. Like, there's nothing about it that stands out. Tells me, oh, damn, that could be a surprise or a shock. No, none of that. Casting-wise, some of the casting is questionable. I don't know if I buy this actor as He-Man. A lot of people are pointing to his physique. I don't think it's that big deal. I think he looks jacked enough. Obviously, he could look way more like a bodybuilder. Maybe, I do think there were other people they could have casted, personally, but the physique is not the biggest issue for me. The dude himself, here's the thing. Maybe they're approaching this as a He-Man that's more relatable human, you know? Like, it's not gonna be, He's not going to be the exact kind of He-Man he was in the cartoon. You can't really do that, right, in a live-action setting. So they're purposely casting someone like him to make him more of a human. They're purposely putting him on Earth before him so you can make him more relatable to a new casual audience who has no idea what the fuck this is, right? So I can see from that regard on a market level where they're coming from. But that's not the biggest casting issue in my opinion. Neither is Idris Elba or any of the race swaps that people are complaining about. This will make or break the film for me because I love Skeletor. Jared Leto as Skeletor, it's not that he's the worst casting choice possible for this role. It's just like, why? When you see Skeletor, do you think of Jared Leto? It all comes down to the voice and cadence. The voice and how he speaks to his followers, to his servants. You know, one of the funniest things about Skeletor, one of the most iconic things about Skeletor is his ability to shit talk. If Jared Leto takes him super seriously, we won't get that. If Jared Leto speaks like, I will destroy He-Man and take Eternia, how Jared Leto tends to speak, this is going to be a very forgettable villain. Stoic. Oh, like, it's going to be, who cares? But if he talks shit, you bumbling moron! You fools! You meathead! Right? Like, I'm not saying he has to use that exact voice. Because some people could be thrown off, like, what the hell? Why does this guy sound like a weirdo? But if he speaks like that, if he talks mad shit, that's a huge element to Skeletor's character you cannot ignore. I'm afraid they will ignore that. And I feel like someone like Jared Leto will ignore that. Jared Leto, I think you need to play Skeletor in this, like, deadpan serious, like Ronan, except his shit-talking ability is what makes him funny. You know how Ronan, because he's so serious, it made his reaction funny when he saw Star-Lord dancing in Guardians of the Galaxy 1? It was like two different personalities clashing. It's the exact same thing. They're probably going to make He-Man more of a... He's a young dude who has Earth humor, right? A lot of people might hate this, but that's the truth. Contrast to him, who's dead serious and just is very matter of fact. And talks shit, not to be funny, not to make jokes, but because he just is funny because of his demeanor. That's how you should make Skeletor. I have a feeling that Jared Leto is just going to try to aura farm the entire time, and it's just going to be dumb. It's going to be stupid. Like, bro, Skeletor is not Darth Vader. Have you guys seen this idiot speak? He's a fucking moron. He's so awesome, though. Skeletor's awesome. I don't think Jared Leto will pull it up. I don't want to be negative, but that's just my worry about that. Overall, I think the movie looks fine, and that's just it. It doesn't look great. It doesn't look bad or terrible. I think it just looks... looks like another Marvel movie, unfortunately. But, I'm watching it. I want to see if they do Skeletor right, and I'm watching it for Camila Mendes, worst case, because she's bad as fuck. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on a mission to take over Hollywood. But the army must keep growing. If you want to suggest video topics to me, or talk about your favorite movies or favorite film theories in a community with like-minded individuals, join the Zafy Discord now. Link is in the description and the comment section as well. Join us. This movement is just beginning. We're taking over Hollywood, one coke line at a time.